Hey everyone, welcome to another Whiskey Gaming Show. Today we've got RW with us. Say hey RW.
What's up?
And Caleb.
Hey guys.
Unafraid. Caleb put on a fresh shirt just for this show, just so all of you know that. Didn't you, Caleb?
Yes, I did, because the whole tank top look is so outdated.
RJ's got a new thing called Crabbing for Paps that he's doing today while he's on the show, so he's not doing video.
I am totally out right now with my s'mores and a campfire.
S'mores and a campfire.
Just kidding, Pat.
Funny you should bring up s'mores, because aren't they made with a very special chocolate?
Yeah, I believe so.
What chocolate is that?
Well, when I make s'mores, I do milk chocolate with the Hershey's.
Hershey's chocolate. The
Yeah.
shittiest chocolate under the sun, but everybody loves it here where I'm from.
Hershey's almonds.
If you go to Hershey, If you walk down Hershey, Pennsylvania, it smells like chocolate. So, and we got Scythe here.
It's snowing.
It's snowing in the south. Heat Miser has let Snow Miser do his thing. I can see.
I do need to run to the grocery store at some point to get my bread, milk, and eggs, as is tradition.
And toilet paper.
No, the toilet paper is fine. We got that.
We got RW out there down south. Oh, we already did him. And McLeod's there across the pond.
Up.
So there we are. Everybody's here. Did you guys see the the ping I sent out?
Yeah, I already voted I would win.
You would win. So it's a cage death match between Scythe and Caleb later on in the show, and we'll see.
Wait, hold on. Quick question: Are we allowed to bring a weapon, or is it just hand to hand?
Hand to hand.
Honor in that.
There's only honor if you can bring a sword, gentlemen.
You can only use batleths.
Yes.
Nice.
Game on! I shall study more Next Generation to learn the ways of war.
Did Caleb run away, or is he just going to prep?
He's
going to prep. He's going to prep.
Scared.
Either he's got to freaking poop really bad, or he's going to prep.
No, look what he's got. He's got a short sword, baby.
Oh, that's cute.
Fucking Viking sword.
Yeah. So
Bring it, Scythe.
Bring it.
Where's my saber at, actually?
There you go.
It's somewhere. I don't know.
I gotta do nothing.
So you know, it's December now, so I start my holiday drinking as opposed to my non-holiday drinking. Right? There's a difference.
So now you just put it's in like a Santa whiskey glass or something? Like, is that the
No. You know what? We need
Does it have to be themed in some way?
We need those moose glasses that they use in Christmas Vacation.
Oh God.
No, I've started in on the Baileys. And here at the Asmock household, we buy the giant Baileys, by the bucket. And I'm trying to finish that off today. You almost what?
I almost picked up a bottle of Bailey's yesterday, but blew it off.
We have like 5 in our house. I mean, there's like different flavors.
I was trying to find a bottle of Lucid, and it wasn't there at the store that I was at.
Bottle of what?
Lucid.
What's Lucid?
Absinthe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this bottle's almost empty. I got to kick it so I can go buy a new one. I justify because, here in our state, they have to list the cost by ounce, right? So if you buy the giant bottle, even though it costs you twice as much, it's like a penny a shot cheaper. Morning coffee before work is just so much better with Bailey's. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I put amaretto in mine. Or rum.
Amaretto's good.
I like rum and coffee because it just adds a vanilla flavor.
I have never tried that. You guys tried
Spiced rum.
You know what I saw a recipe for the other day, and it might be, as we get closer to Christmas, one of the drinks that I do is hot buttered rum. Has anybody ever had that drink?
No.
It's actually made with butter and hot water and rum.
Recipe.
What we normally do for Christmas time is hot toddies.
I want to drink a hot toddy if I'm sick. It's weird.
We just do that for shits and giggles. It's like, hey, Christmas Eve, hot toddies.
What's in a hot toddy?
Well,
whiskey
you
and honey.
It's like the same thing. It's like things like butter, honey. I have to go look it up.
Hot toddy is
whiskey, something else.
It's like honey, whiskey, and lemon juice, and then heat it up. And sometimes you could put it in tea, if I'm not mistaken, but.
I've never really heard of it being put in tea, but
honestly, get you a black tea with lemon, and just put some Jack in there. Just don't worry about it.
Here's a recipe, and it sounds pretty familiar.
Tea and whiskey is delicious.
1 teaspoon of honey, 2 fluid ounces of boiling water, 1.5 fluid ounces of whiskey, 1 cinnamon stick, 1 sliced lemon, 1 pinch of ground nutmeg.
It's a weird drink that like the only people I know who drink them around here is if they have like a cold or something. Because the bourbon like soothes the throat, and then the rest of it's supposed to help with like the like nasal decongestion.
Wow, hot buttered rum is like, wow.
It's like a stick of butter melted.
Hold it.
Rum.
Are you ready? So
Jesus.
It's 2 cups of water, so you're making more than one of these for sure, right? Okay. So it's 2 cups of water. It is a half a stick of unsalted butter.
Fuck.
It is a 1/4 cup of packed dark brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a half teaspoon of grated nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, which a 1/4 teaspoon is huge.
This lengthy fucking.
I'll link it for crying out.
Recipe, RW. He's fucking writing really hard. RW's just sitting there at it right there, trying to write it down.
1/8 teaspoon of salt and 2/3 cup of dark brown rum. There is the link for hot buttered rum, which I am definitely gonna try. But as I look at all those ingredients, holy shit!
It's like, it's the official drink of what's that cooking bitch whose name I forgot.
Christmas. Hot buttered rum. Christmas, right?
What's the lady who's on the cooking show and she always put like a stick of butter and everything?
Oh, Paula Deen.
Paula Deen. That's the official drink of Paula Deen right there.
There you go.
Literally butter rum.
Melted butter is the official drink of Paula Deen.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Hold on. Did you guys ever actually watch, not the show where she's in the kitchen, but the one where she had a studio audience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where
that was
okay, so if you've watched that show, you'll understand that the official drink of Paula Deen is melted butter off a male stripper's chest. Okay, because that's what she would have come into the show and carry butter in. So yeah. Alrighty, so what are we going to talk about in Eve today? Now that we've got through the drink
W
section.
said he had a thing he wanted to talk about.
W
The tumbleweeds.
Huh? What?
The
about that
tumbleweeds.
hell camp?
Nothing is fucking happening in EU at the moment.
No, we're hell camping. We're getting the paps at the campfire.
Let's discuss CCP a little bit.
All right, let's do
Oh
that.
my god, triggered.
Triggered. You got it.
He's trying to trigger me because I'm just going to pile on to whatever he says, and I don't even know what the fuck he's
Some
going
guys
to
got
say.
together, and they made a mod for a game called Sins of the Solar Empire. And I know there's a lot of people that know this game. I think Gunn has it.
I have it. I love it.
They did an excellent job making an EVE Online mod for the Sins game. I mean, right up to keep stars, everything. You know, all the new stuff is involved. And we had a pretty good sized community that was starting to grow off this thing too. I mean, guys were always in the Discord. I mean, we were getting online tournaments, or not tournaments, but online matches going. It was going great. And then all of a sudden, fucking CCP threw in a cease and desist letter.
They have to.
They're
You can't get around that.
required.
They are required to do that. If they want to keep their IP in any way, they have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's all fine, but still, they couldn't support the community. They had to be dicks.
If anything, they would have had to license it in some way, and then if they start doing that, they are already horrible at licensing. So I think it's just their policy. They don't want to license anything.
I
Don't
think
really see a lot of other game developers doing that with other mods to other games.
Depends on the
I'm sure that some of them
depends on the
can
mod.
ignore it, but small IPs like CCP, I don't think they can afford to actually take the risk.
Nah,
I think it was covered very well on the Meta Show last week.
Still, total dick move.
Not really. It's something they have there. It's something that anyone was required to do. Like all those takedowns on fucking YouTube. Oh, you used so and so in your video. You're not allowed to take down. That's all just so they can protect their intellectual property. Because basically, you lose your intellectual property as soon as you don't defend it. Essentially.
Yep.
well, yeah, and you know, your mileage may vary on that statement around the world, right?
They were clearly more worried about the money going into their pockets than they are their own community.
Well, they also have made this stupid fucking app that's coming out that's essentially Sins but turn-based, and it's and I think that's what they're like. Oh, this is going to take audience away from so and so. That fucking phone app is garbage. I don't like that game.
Well, yeah, the audience can go play Sins of the Solar Empire with the Eve mod because Eve's dying anyway.
Eve is dead, and they'll let me play.
Yes, Eve's dead.
Isn't that what DeMorg said today? Eve's dying. He might take a couple
No, he
months
said
off.
he was quitting the
DeMorg
game.
said he's quitting the game.
No,
Yeah,
different
we
channel.
all
He was
get another
serious
million
this time.
disc.
He was serious this time.
He said that last time as well.
I know. I'm talking in the other channel. In the other channel, Gun.
Oh, the T?
Yeah. He says I'm going to take a couple months off.
Right, and he's
Don't yell at me for going to play CS:GO.
who's logged in
Eve-
now. Look
Eve
who's
is
logged
dead.
in now.
I know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But anyway, to finish up my story, if
Yep.
there are guys that play Sins of the Solar Empire and you have not gotten the mod for that, contact me.
I would like the mod
Yeah.
for that because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Freedom Tower talked about Di Serrano Amaretto. Not to derail your conversation, but I'm going to do it because I'm the host. I'm going to do it. We'll come back to it.
Di
By the way,
Serrano is the best.
Di Serrano is fucking awesome with cigars.
Yes.
I think that's what I have in. Hold on, let me go look. I'm gonna take the wireless headphones on a tour of the house.
Yeah, I meant to
Di
say
Serrano is like-
and point out Freedom Tower's comment there, but we got busy with other stuff. But yes, Di Serrano is the best.
Di Serrano is like the easiest alcoholic drink to drink, like short of Budweiser, because it doesn't have alcohol. Like it's like, you know, for the amount of alcohol that's in it, it's the easiest, like, alcoholic drink to drink. Easy.
But did you say Budweiser?
Just in terms of ease to drink, in the same way that, like, you know, drinking Budweiser and drinking, like, fruit cordial is pretty much the same.
Oh yeah.
Budweiser's like water that tastes like shit.
Like if you want a hard alcoholic drink to drink, then try lemon flavored vodka neat.
Yeah.
It's easy to drink.
It's nasty though. It's super gross.
Nah, lemons, limes,
hard
vodka.
to drink because it's not really difficult.
You know what's easy to drink? Fucking Baileys.
Yeah, it's really easy to drink. Like a man. Just drink it straight. Don't be a
just jet fuel.
Hold on, just put the pinky up.
Get you a bendy straw, put it over the lip of the bottle, and slam that bitch. And then you can be too drunk to zombie.
You know, one year we're going to have to do Irish car bombs on the show all together in synchronization.
What, we're going to have to slam fucking Jack Daniels?
Irish car bombs. You know what an Irish car bomb is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't like them over here.
Have you ever drank one?
I'll talk about the other type.
I know. We don't like those ones either, but the drink is okay.
Oh, okay.
You take a shot glass, and it's 50-50 Jameson and Baileys. And you take a pint glass of Guinness, half full, and you slowly drop the shot glass into the beer and chug it.
Yep.
Oh, in a kind of a... yeah. I get
it's most excellent.
Tastes like chocolate milk.
Apparently, we're arguing over alcohol like we're in high school.
Sort of Jaeger bomb style, right?
Sort of Jaeger bomb style.
Less like a fucking frat boy child.
No, the frat boy child drink is the funnel of any given crappy beer, right?
Oh no, like Jaeger bombs are always the thing in college. You're like, yeah, man, let's go do some Jaeger bombs. I'm like, what the fuck are we, 12? Get the fuck out of here!
You heard it here first. Scythe was 12 when he did his first Jaeger bomb, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, I might be. I might have been. Let me think on that.
Alrighty.
Jaeger's awesome.
I like it chilled.
Was that at the time when you were too drunk to BMX?
Huh?
When you were 12, drunk on Jaeger bombs.
Dude, we used to Twisted's out there with the SoCo, man. We used to drink SoCo and Coke when we were in college, going to the football games.
I used to just carry a flask because I'm a nerd. I was in the marching band. I carried a flask in my fucking pocket of my jacket.
Yeah, we would
slam fucking Jack in it.
Oh, you were like a hipster before hipsters were hipsters.
Well, how else am I gonna carry bourbon in my fucking band uniform? Put it in a flask. I have like 3 different flasks too. That's how terrible I am. I might be a high-class alcoholic or a low-class alcoholic. I'm not sure which.
So Jalian says that drinking the nasty stuff, eating really hot peppers, or lifting heavy objects does not make you a man. But I guess sitting here trolling people on the internet does. Right on.
Hold on. Noisy was going to get a bottle of Jim Beam Apple, but he got Tito's instead.
Dude, Beam Apple was not good. A lot of people keep saying they like it.
Really?
I'm like, it doesn't taste great to me.
All right. So
I think he made the right decision with Tito's.
What is soja coffee? What is soja coffee?
Apparently, it's that picture there at the bottom. That's what it is.
By the way, over on the other side of the state, there was a truck full of Tito's that turned over on its side. Spilled Tito's everywhere.
Straight to that truck.
There's so many drunk squirrels.
Soja milk. What the fuck is soja milk? I gotta look this shit up now, man.
This guy's fucking making up words.
I'm sticking with the fucking hot buttered rum. What's this soja milk stuff?
Soy.
Fucking white.
Soy milk? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, soya, yeah.
Ooh, soy milk
Soya
latte.
beans.
You know, the dude who orders a fucking soy milk latte, I just want to take out a 9 and put it in the back of his head in line for coffee. Okay?
There was a time when
other than black coffee, I want to stab them in line trying to get coffee.
I put Bailey's in my coffee. Fuck you.
Coffee.
There was a time where I would actually request soy milk, but only because like I worked in coffee. I'd worked as a barista before, and I basically like didn't like the fact that they reheated milk all the time. So like when you ordered soy milk, it was always fresh soy milk. Well, I mean, as fresh as soy milk can be, but like, you know, it wasn't reheated milk.
Yeah,
in any way.
You're not wrong.
Okay. All right, now that we're done with coffee, let's talk about something Eve related since we're 19 minutes into the fucking show. I mean,
I have something.
Okay.
I have something.
Shoot.
I have something related. To last week's episode as well. So we were talking about we had Space Pope on. We were talking about the Sixth Empire last week, and what happened this week is the Sixth Empire got a Keep Star.
Oh, yes, they did right after the show. He alluded to something was up with that during the show, but he wouldn't give the goods up, right?
But to be fair,
who gave that to him? Who gave that to him?
MC gave their Tortuga Keep Star to the Sixth Empire, to Max.
Sweet.
I just like the name of that system, Tortuga.
I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all.
I just want to say my favorite thing about last week's episode is that the pilgrimage is now you must get through all the Goon Gate camps to get pilgrimage to see the Pope.
It sounds like a gauntlet. Anyways, I think MC in general are trying to get rid of all their structures, so this was kind of a 2-in-1, right?
Oh, are they? Is that?
I think so. Yeah. I guess you know what? Like, if you're gonna give your stuff, like, I appreciate, and I'm sure other people appreciate that they gave their Keep Star to a good cause rather than just fucking, I don't know. You can't explode one on an undock because it is the undock, really.
And we don't know if it was entirely for free, right?
I bet it was.
Yeah. They do have some interesting, fun people, wealthy people in the Sixth Empire these days, so it could actually have been paid for, at least in part.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have thought if they were.
It was to buy their way into New Eden heaven.
There you go.
Yeah.
These are old people trying to get into heaven, right?
You know,
eh?
All the Care Bears trying to get into heaven.
Well, in a month or so, I'm sure that the Pope will just sell it to goons if goons need a staging point.
I don't think so.
I was wondering whether they were going to move it or keep it in the low-sec area. Like, I was imagining they'd probably move it.
Put one up in Delve and then say, let's just swap.
Yeah, that's true.
The
free goon staging post in the north. That'd be nice.
So we were talking earlier, and you mentioned something, Caleb, related to mining for the new Moongoo asteroids.
I just mentioned that I've heard a few rumors that some of the people that actually set up drilling platforms and stuff and started moon mining have actually already started quitting it and won't really be bothered anymore. So maybe there's a lot of Moongoo that's not actually going to get to market. So maybe the drought is going to be a lot harder than we thought.
So they had already set up moon mining on moons, right? So they put a refinery out there, and then
but that's fairly cheap if it's the medium one, right?
Right. It's pretty cheap, but. So and then they just stopped. They decided they didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, they say any more about that?
I didn't get this personally. I got it second hand. But the point is that I think the volumes and the value available, the speed with which you can actually clear a field, makes it a little bit like not boring, but just not really worth the effort. It's like going out and if you have a 6-day hole on the drill, you can mine that in like half an hour, and it's not really worth the effort. Even if you're a smaller fleet, it's maybe even faster. So I think there's a problem with the balance of how much is coming out, or at least how you set the timer. So maybe we need to have the option to set the timers even longer than we already have, so we can get some proper volumes out. I don't know how exactly to balance it, but maybe I just think that the CCP actually got the numbers wrong.
Well, I mean, they constantly give us the numbers in the mirror, right, as ISK value, which is completely worthless if you're trying to figure anything out, right? You know,
it's not very useful for activity, right? If that's your argument, you don't see the overall activity of players in value. You see that in volume.
Right, and you know, it would be nice to see the pre and post numbers in M3, right? I mean, I know Fozzie tweeted out, "Hey, the most mined in LowSec ever last month," or whatever the hell it was.
We didn't get any units on that post.
Is
no value, no volume, no nothing. Just a graph that showed nothing.
Yeah, is that because the value of everything's through the fucking roof, or is it because, you know, actually the M3 was greater than it's ever been, right? And I'm sure even if it's M3, the
important thing that thing showed, right? It showed that it's very easy for CCP to distinguish whether it's low-sec or null-sec. And I think that's important. So it's perfectly valid to maybe request that the Mir make a few changes, like splitting up the mining into ice and moon and mineral mining, and that they split it up into low-sec, high-sec, and null, right? So we get a little bit more information, but maybe then remove the actual value and just do it in volume instead.
Oh, I'd love to see it distributed by actual ore, right? So clear icicle versus clear, you know, white glaze or whatever the fuck it is, right? And all of that.
I don't think we can get that level of detail. Then they basically need to release the actual data set. But I think just splitting it up into mining the three types would actually help a lot, and we could see how the shift would move from month to month as prices develop, because basically then the players themselves could easily make baskets of moving daily averages of the different types. So you would have an index for moon mining, an index for ice mining, and an index for minerals, right? So then you could basically see how reaction and response follows directly in the MER. But again, this is something that we would have to get a hold of of Quant and ask him to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, you would think it'd be a whole hell of a lot less effort than trying to figure out whatever calculation they do over 30 days to the actual ISK value, right? And where do they use as the mean value, right? Are they using JITA prices? Are they using Delve prices? You know, because TRIT in JITA is a lot more expensive than it is in Delve, right?
Yep, and I think they should put the NPC mining numbers in the actual map. I think that would be amazing. Yeah,
and Noisy mentions that, the NPC mining, right? They keep mining out the belts in fair system.
It's quite aggressive, as far as I've heard, that if you are not paying attention, they will actually empty your mining opportunities.
Yeah, I mean that's just adding competition at this point, right?
Yeah, and then they talked about I think it was it in the in crowd, or was it? Well, anyway, someone was testing out the whole thing with the new PvE stuff, and one of the things that I heard was that the forward operating bases are actually getting pretty aggressive in how fast they escalate their numbers, and then if there's a timer available, they will actually attack your structure.
Oh, Jesus.
So that thing is actually about to start working. So unattended and non-fueled structures are going to be basically killed by NPCs.
That's pretty interesting, right? And you can stop all of that by using, just putting in a clone bay.
I just think it's amazing that they actually got that stuff working, because they said that they were going to do that, and I was a little bit skeptic, because isn't that a little bit complicated? But apparently it looks as if they actually got it working, and I think it's a really great way to clear out passive stuff that's basically just junk and garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you actually fuel your entities, right? So if you've got a bunch of citadels that hop you from one place to the other, and if you don't keep them fueled, guess what?
And combine this with the fact that the NPCs are actually actively mining at a degree that is noticeable and a nuisance to players. If they turn that knob even further, you basically have the fundamentals of a diminishing return mechanic. If you're not there actively doing anything, killing the rats so they don't actually start mining your fields, then you're losing it, right? This is exactly equivalent to having a diminishing return mechanics. So I think it's a really, really good thing. There's a few things that, from a balance perspective, I would still like to see them do, like nerf the Rork even further and actually make it a non-viable solo miner. And I would like to see them nerf anomalies completely.
The only way
these things are just stupid.
They're already on the brink of if they where they're at nerfing the Rorqual, it's overpriced, right? So they've made something that's exorbitantly overpriced and isn't worth what it is in what it mines, right? So
yeah, I think they could fix this by maybe unnerfing the drones in their survivability, and then just reducing them to a point where they're maybe like 2 or 3 times normal mining drones. So they're still, so you can still a little bit AFK mine solo, but your main purpose is still going to be to actually support a fleet, right? And then put in a Tech 1 and a Tech 2 version of the excavators, because it's just stupid there's only a faction one.
Well, you've got to drop the price of the excavators, right? Over $1 billion for an excavator that only mines what a Hulk does, which is cheaper than that. That's scary.
Oh yeah. The excavator is a horrible invention in the first place. But I do think that they need a Tech 1 and a Tech 2 version of it. So something that the actual industrialists and the players can build instead of this horrendously overpriced drone.
Yeah, they really can't. So unless they're going to reduce the cost of the Rorqual, then they can't really nerf it any further. And if they do, they're just being idiot game designers in doing so.
Well, they should just remove its power as a main mine, and maybe not so much. You should still be able to do it, but that it should maybe have a much larger ore bay, and so it becomes an actual support ship. Boost that tremendously, so it also becomes a valid thing to use in logistics of any mining material. So you can basically use it to ship your stuff from structure to structure, because that's really what would be really nice to have by now.
Yeah, but it just can't dock in the refineries and things, right?
No, but that would be my argument. You should have, all structures should have an exception when it comes to Rorquals and of course freighters. My brain was just going.
Well, freighters can dock, but freighters are fundamentally larger in mass than Rorquals.
Because they're industry ships, right? So freighters and Rorks should be able to dock in all structures.
See, that's the part I don't understand. If the freighter is supposed to be, smaller in mass than a Rorqual, but yet you put them side by side, the freighter's bigger.
Well, even if you look at their stats, the freighter's much larger than the Rorqual, but the Rorqual can't dock, right? It's ridiculous. It's one of those things that, CCP just fucked up, right?
Another dick move by CCP. I tell you, CCP's got more dick moves than Ron Jeremy does.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just saying.
Who's Ron Jeremy? I don't get the joke.
Porn star.
No, really? You watch male porn? Oh, did I watch you?
I think at this point,
that's been
most
for
people
him.
know Ron Jeremy.
Right, it's really old porn star, so it just shows someone's age when we refer to him instead of, say, Rocco or whatever.
There, Joe Barbarian just said it best. CCP don't give a damn about anything.
Well,
except the money going in their pockets.
I don't think that's fair. I think the point is that the people that are making the final decisions are usually not the right people.
Well, it was really interesting, and I didn't get to listen to the entire Talking in Stations today, but when Celine, and by the way, I think they're going to do a spin-off of this conversation and dial into it very closely. So it's something to watch on Talking in Stations. They had Celine there, and there's two things in that conversation that one scared the hell out of, well, they both scared the hell out of me. What am I talking about, right? One was originally, Dominion, and Dominion Sov was pretty much directed by management rather than developers. Apocrypha was pretty much all developer driven, right? So so the fact that Dominion was driven by the senior management, right, with very little developer input, and they just kind of had to do whatever they were told to do. The other thing that he said that scared the shit out of me is the good part of that SOV system. You know, Celine had some input into, or had a lot of input into, and was helping develop with Grayscale. And they wanted to incorporate into that some of the features that were within FozzieSOV, right? And I'm sitting there going, fuck, most people look at Dominion SOV as infinitely better than FozzieSOV. That would have fucking sucked. But they said it's very interesting how CCP does their development and game direction. It's almost like they look at which way the wind is blowing and they go that way.
Well, it's also to do with the era of the developers. The developers that were recruited from what you would call the player base. The first round of recruitments got some really heavy simulation and world building types like Celine himself, right, and people like Coneros. People that wanted to actually do some pretty MMO world building designs, right? People like Soundwave. But in the second wave of recruitments, it looks as if they got a lot of players that were basically what this might sound a little bit offensive, but for the lulz PvP players, right? So people that were more accustomed to RTS or things like League of Legends or stuff that's more competition and sportsman-like, right? And that means that they totally had no interest in all the ecology and economy and world building designs. Things like that didn't interest them. And of course, I am slightly hinting at people like Fozzie. I have no beef with Fozzie when it comes to ship design and PvP. I know that many might have, but pretty much he's done a decent job also with things like the AT. But he doesn't have an interest at all in making sure that the balance of the whole ecosystem is working, because that's not his gameplay.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I think one of the best ways that someone has told me about like how Fozzie kind of looks at like, you know, the Aegis-Sov kind of system is in a frame of reference kind of way. You know, you have to basically, like, Fozzie is always going to look at Aegis-Sov in a frame of reference to like the Alliance tournament and small gang PvP, because it works. Like it's understandable in a small gang PvP sense, because the Aegis-Sov system breaks up, you know, what's meant to be broken into a big fight, a big long, you know, sprawling fight, or a big long centralized fight into a bunch of smaller sprawled out mini fights.
And
that's
pretty much like Eric said, right? Like with pauses, SOV has been like a development, like a patchwork. It's endlessly trying to put out fires and fix something in a slightly pragmatic way, instead of remaking all of it because it's fucking broken, right? So we've got that now with structures. Structures is a really, really, really good fix compared to POS code and POS functionality, right? But we've not had one on issues like war declarations. We've not had one on things like sovereignty. It's still just patchwork bullshit, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think
sort that out.
I think CCP would. I'm torn with what I'm seeing from a business perspective from CCP and what I'm hearing and what they're doing. Right, but that's a different topic. I think EVE as a game would benefit from a far more balanced approach between those two diametrically opposed viewpoints on the game, right? So when we sit there and say, hey, there's the game building, empire building aspect of the game, which is huge, and by the way, makes all your free press, gets you all your free advertising and everything, right? You need to pay attention to that, and what you do there, you do well. Same thing happens with the PvP and the lulz type, right? There's a place for both of these in the game. And make it fun, right? But you need to pay attention to both of those evenly, rather than just shifting your, your developer status in one direction to the other, right? What do you guys think?
I think the major problem is that CCP has lost track of the fact that it's a world-building game, and it's supposed to be persistent and long-term oriented. And the last 10 years, they've totally lost track of that, and they've just been undermining the whole unique selling point of the game. And they've been sacrificing its unique selling point to some sort of, I don't know, for funs and shits and giggles PvP, which means that the majority of the players that created the content and all the emergent stuff, they fucked off. Some of them are actually coming back now, which is interesting, and I think Celine called them the zombie crowd. But it's going to be interesting to see if there might be some chance of actually saving the game.
We'll see.
Well, it's kind of like when like a company sort of forgets about their unique selling point, which is a very important thing when it comes to actually, when it comes to a company and their kind of their projection where they're going to be going. It's kind of like it'd be the sort of equivalent of, like, say, Coca-Cola basically going, well, we're going to make about 20-30 different flavors of Coke, and eventually someone will be like, dude, I just really miss the taste of Coke, like just regular Coke, Well,
it's a little bit like I know that you, McLeod, you like to play those survival FPS games. If they suddenly introduced a lot of easy accessed weapons like rocket launcher like things, and with almost infinite ammo, so you could just run around and just shoot everything in the face and it would just die, there would be no challenge anymore. And this is exactly what CCP has been doing for the last 10 years in EVE. They have reduced and removed the strain and the bottlenecks and the scarcities and the hardship. It's not hard anymore. It's just a little bit of seesaw back and forth, who's got the biggest pile of money.
That was good, RW. That brings a tear to my eye in chat.
I was laughing at your comment.
I like when the folks interact with us in chat and we can talk to them, and it's fun.
I would say the one thing that in the short to medium term that will probably affect the game and how it's played and the fights and all that kind of thing is the slow but considerable increase of Asian players, with all the Chinese coming over from was it Serenity? Yeah, Serenity. Coming from Serenity onto Tranquility now. So.
Are you saying when the 5,000 Chinese people come over, if we do not fix the crab problem, we're gonna fucking collapse?
I don't know, because I think when it comes to adversity, I think Chinese players are good at banding together, sort of in a nationalistic kind of way. Like this, I think they're more nationalistic than any one singular sort of group in EVE at the moment. So I think
Chinese are good. They're good at banding together, all right. But we won't get into that on the ARC servers.
You remember in H1Z1?
We have to because it's going to be the one real kind of precedent for Chinese people coming, or the big Chinese groups coming over to Tranquility.
Let's talk about that.
Positive thing. I heard that Rooks and Kings are actually coming back.
Are they playing from China now?
Does that mean we're going to get more of those videos with that
server, right? And rumors have it that they might actually be coming back and reforming on Tranquility.
So help me understand this, guys. So let's talk about this, right? So you have the rest of the world server, and then you have the Chinese server, right? And the reason I thought that we had the Chinese server was because the Chinese couldn't play on any server outside of their own country due to their own internet restrictions.
They couldn't, but I think they are kind of allowed now if they join some of those. It's companies that are offering what's equivalent to proxies, but kind of for gaming specifically.
Okay.
So that kind of legalizes it, but it's pretty much restrictive to specific IPs out of that service. I think it was Carneros that talked about this, that when these companies buy the rights to service international brands. They have these proxy companies.
Okay, I didn't know they had proxy companies. And Noisy Gamer saying the government's cracking down on VPN apps, right? The ones that make you seem like you're in a different area, right? So
I use them.
I don't know if that has any bearing on this or all, but so I mean, so yeah, the question will be when will they shut down the Chinese server? And I agree, the Chinese are going to be very much like the Russians were in the beginning of EVE, right? They're going to be very nationalistic. You're going to bind together, you know.
I think the good part is that they're gonna fill the gap time zone wise, right? They're gonna fill one of those holes that was between US and EU, and then AS time, right? It's going to be like a bridge to Aussie time.
Well, we had more, you know, participation metrics in AU time zone, I think, in Goons than we had in any other time zone last month.
Yeah, but there was a hole between EU and Aussie time where nothing happened, right?
Yeah,
that's going to be filled now.
There was always a thing of like if you can't fight in like US time zone, your stuff for AU time zone, because what would basically be Chinese time zone, because you know there's so few people around that you could potentially be able to deal with it.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We had more operations, more strategic operations in AU time zone than any other time zone in Goons last month.
In any case, I think it could be good if CCP gets proper opened up to a Chinese audience and then a Japanese audience and all of that, because I do think that it has a lot of pull. There's a lot of players that could actually start populating the game.
We could. I mean, to be honest, I mean, we need some players on our server, right? I mean, there's no question that those are going down. I will admit, moving on to another topic, is the new alpha options, right? I know there are tons of people who love them, but as I see these from a business perspective, as players, they are not looking for players to fill that new players that have never played that like that play style in the alpha. They are looking to wean you off of a monthly subscription into a transaction-based subscription through those. You're only going to see the capabilities of the alphas increase until it's basically equal and you just flip. What do you guys say about that one?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just think it's going to take a long time before the free-to-play option is going to be allowed to be on par with the old Omega model. So I'd say like 2 or 3 years before they would actually flip the switch and say that it's free to play for any clone state. And then it's just going to be training and microtransactions all the way.
I think you eventually get to the point where all of your skill points come through microtransactions. I think that's where they're going.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree. But I think it's like 2 or 3 years into the future. And I think it's it's a good plan from a market perspective. But I just don't, if they don't up their game in the rest of the design and fixes some of the major flaws that's still in the game, like Asia stuff, I don't think it's going to help.
Yeah. What is it? Meeting Jim just said he hopes Matani declares jihad so we can go back to Declan, and I'm sitting there going, I don't ever want to go back to Declan. I don't want to ever go back to the north. I like Delve much, much better. Scooter McCabe, yeah, I kind of think passive trading will go away and you'll pay for it. You pay for it today. You pay a certain amount in SP if you're training all the time on a paid monthly account, right? There's a direct correlation to the cost of an SP point in that. So I think, you just correlate that to actually paying, and I think they'll just make you pay. Yeah, someone is paying for every skill point out there, no matter what, really, unless it is on an alpha character, right, guys?
Yep.
No, all skill
Only
points
up
are
to
paid for, at least if it's above 5 million, right?
Right. It's the alpha characters under the 5 million. Those skill points are not paid for.
But the 5 million and below alphas are really borderline useless, right?
No, I agree. When you look at in cost of advertising and cost of giving away 30 days of regular training time and all that, it's really probably a wash, right, financially, to do that. But to have the alpha clones, right, you saw the expansion, right? You can't, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I may misunderstand that, right? Yes, Pacify, there are ways around this, right? In order to train beyond the 5 million skill points or whatever it is, you have to sub or you have to inject, and you have to pay for those injectors.
Correct.
Right?
But now they have the fucking event right now is for the fucking injectors. They're just, get these 50 million or 50,000 skill point injectors from the rogue drone swarms.
Right. So you don't have to pay for those, and that's just to get people in. I think it's just to get people invested in the game, right? There is clearly a two-pronged approach, right? Get new people invested in the game so they don't want to give it up, right? Then there's the conversion of your existing monthly pay base into a pay per transaction base, right? Now that's speculation.
They're just double fucked in the fact that the PvE they've been introducing are not getting popular and are not picking up new players, and the social aspects, which is usually where the retention of players lies, right, is pretty much stale because there's no wars and there's no scarcity and there's nothing to fight for. So there's only like end level blobbing against each other for fun. That's not going to pull in new players.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to push a narrative onto a new player when they don't have, any of the shared experiences from, the previous wars and the wars before that kind of thing. It's difficult to get people to rally up against somebody who they haven't actually fought, against previously. Like, unless, not in the same way, at least, not with the same kind of level of aggression, the level of, commitment. At least that I know of, anyway.
I just think there's a limit to how entertaining it can be to be part of a, say, fuck you fleet or something like that as an alpha. It's like bullshit, right? You're not doing anything that's engaging, and the cost of actually getting up on par and being an effective participant in null game is just, it's too much effort.
So how blue is null now? I think the north of null is pretty blue, right? And we're working on bluing the south, so it's interesting. Cheetah says in there, right? He thinks that the player base is in essence shrinking, but CCP has effectively muddied that water by considering now every account an active account because of alpha status, right? So, I truly do think that the player base of EVE is shrinking because we see that in the PCU numbers, right?
I think what we actually need a new statistic, right? We need a new metric. We need to have CCP release the actual numbers of activated plexes in the game instead of PCU.
5 years ago, you could get online, into the game, and there would be, 55 to 60,000 people connected constantly. Now, look at the numbers, half that.
Yeah, it's definitely a game in decline, but I think the challenge is, I don't know if CCP has decided that it's a game in decline, and their business actions are how to squeeze every dime out of it, or if they just don't know how to pump the numbers. And I'm torn between those two things. I don't really know where CCP is going with that, and it's tough.
It's a tricky situation, for sure.
Well, it's because they've been undermining their own unique selling point, right? They've undermined their own game, and it's no longer the game that it was even in 2013, right? It's just been undermined and made easy mode to a degree where no one is having fun and everyone is just bluing each other.
I don't know. David Matterall says we're too pessimistic. Matterall, just top in the freaking chat.
Damn.
Tell us how pessimistic we are, right?
We must be pessimistic if Matty's saying pessimistic.
You just came in the pessimistic side of the show, right? And it's challenging, right? So
it's just it needs a total new approach to new design, right? They need to get back to some of the things that made it fun to play in the beginning. And this is it's not about making a server reset, but they need it to at least balance the game so they don't need a server reset. Well, and they've not been doing that at all.
Eve is a game that is designed in such a way you can make it a brand new game at any time that you want without effectively changing the game. I mean, as far as new things and new ways to do things, I mean, Eve does a lot more of that than other MMOs, right? And they change things, right?
It's just that Eve is so sensitive to creep, right? As we were talking about last week, I think it was actually on this show that we were talking about things like the ISK cost of materials. If they should have followed, call it the ISK inflation, the amount of ISK that's actually in the game compared to the amount of players, then the cost should have increased by at least 10 to 15 times just on the ISK cost, right? And these things is basically because of creep. If there is not enough sync and the faucet is just a little bit on the positive side, it just accrues endlessly year on year.
True.
The joke is in the worst thing is in things like blueprint copies. They are totally worthless because there are so many millions of copies on the player hands that they are useless. You can't even sell them. You can't even give them away because people don't fucking want them in their hangars.
Hold on, Matterall's here to tell us how pessimistic we are. Matterall, you're muted. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm attacking trees. I'm pruning.
I thought you were attacking windmills. Come on.
Yeah. Don Quixote.
Don Quixote.
Shoot, man.
He's trimming the area, the grass and the shrubbery around his house so it doesn't get burnt.
That's probably...
Hey, Matterall has the talking stick.
I already made it fireproof, I think. Yeah, that was not a criticism. It was. Oh, sorry, getting over a cold. It was more of a. Man, this is pretty bleak because I actually don't think the numbers are down. Last year they were down further than they are now, aren't they?
We can take a look.
Yeah, I think the numbers are actually up.
Yeah, so, they may be from a year ago. They are up by about 5,000.
I know, and when you compare against yesteryear, yeah, if you compare high point of 50,000-60,000, but remember we had a lot of botters. We had a lot of people who were doing multiple clients at the same time because it just scaled so well that if you had 5 guys, you were making 5 times the amount of wealth. There's a lot of stuff that they kind of took out, including there were no skill injectors, so people had to log in and do stuff. The 24-hour skill injector, the 24-hour skill queue meant that you had to log in all the time, even if you did nothing. You log in, just kind of sit around.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Well, the same period though, right? 2014, I think 2013 was the high point. And I think that was before the endless skill queue. I think it was still 24 hours at that point. At one point, it wasn't even 24 hours. It was like, or was it?
That was the hardcore Eve time period.
Alarm clock Eve.
Yeah, you'd have to alarm clock to wake up at 2 in the morning to switch your skill.
But there was something funny about sitting at a family dinner and then suddenly remembering that your fucking skill queue was no longer up to date and you had to actually hurry home. I
called my nephew because I couldn't get to a computer. I called my nephew and said, install this game client, log in, and I'll walk you through how to change my skills. So I was using my family members.
I called my best friend and said, hey, I know you used to play this. You still have it installed? Yeah. Go and hit these 3 buttons for me. I'm like, I need Carriers 1. Just fucking get that shit in there.
Yeah, and to Caleb's point, it was like an awful game, but we really played the hell out of it. We really suffered.
We had fun. I think the strain was fun back then, and that's why I want to get rid of the easy mode. And to just answer the comment in chat, Eve does not need more space at all.
No, it needs less.
More space.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of space still. Like, yeah, I mean, if you think that Eve needs a lot of space, then you clearly haven't been to the east of the map.
I don't understand why they say they need more space. Do they want to see more space vacant, or I don't understand?
I don't know. I don't get that. If anything, it needs less
power. Creep it.
Yeah, I think
I want a solar system class killer.
People maybe want a slice of it, and they feel like it's all taken up and claimed, and they can't get in. So that's a different problem. It's not that you need more space; you need more acquirable space, and you need less conglomerates protecting giant swaths of space that remain relatively empty or rented for their benefit. Now that's a different thing, and that's probably what Aegis-Sov was meant to discourage. Although the renting empires seem as strong as ever, moon mining also hasn't really affected them so far. Be interesting to see.
It will. Hey, but I think we have the whole moon mining will actually fix a lot of the problems with space, but that's a longer trend, and we have to follow it and see what happens.
We only have 1 minute left, guys. Right. Actually, we have no minutes left. We have to go to the show. I'm going to give you my prediction. I'm going to say you are flat, zero growth between 2016 and 2017 at year end. So
I say it's going to be a slight increase because of the better utilization of alphas.
We're down 1,000 compared to last year.
I think it's going to be up. And you know why? Because this new what do you call it, limit, the new ceiling is going to attract old players back.
You only have 2 weeks to raise your yearly average, which is identical between the two to date. So, that said, I already went and ran the numbers, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right, hey, thanks for coming on, Matterall.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you
guys.
All right, we got to run. Meta Show's up next. So it's 4 o'clock. We got to run. Everybody say bye. No last words.
Bye-bye.
South Snow.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. And up next is DBRB with the Meta Show.